A man named August Kellerman kept 22 laying hens alive through the winter of 1887 on the Dakota Plains in a coop with no stove, no lamp, and not a single wire running to it. A blizzard killed cattle 2 miles away. The thermometer nailed to his barn door hit 38 below, and his hens laid straight through it. 7 eggs a day out of 22 birds, on a coop floor his bare hand could rest on without going numb. The walls were straw bales stacked 2 deep. The floor was 6 inches of dry leaves and corn husk. The birds themselves were turning into heat. Today, most folks couldn't keep a flock through a mild January without running a heat lamp on an extension cord out the kitchen window, praying the breaker holds, and cutting a check to the power company every month for the privilege. The heat lamp is the #1 cause of coop fires in this country. It costs money you do not need to spend. But here's the twist. The old man on the Dakota Plains wasn't just tougher than you. He knew things about a coop wall and a coop floor that the power company spent the last 90 years making sure you'd never learn. I'm Silas Mercer, 7th generation on this ridge. My people settled it in the 1790s and never left. Before we go on, there's something coming for this country, and the news won't say a word about it till it's already on your doorstep. It comes down to one number: 3 days. That's what the stores hold for you. Your grandfather's pantry held a winter, and the difference was never money, it was knowing. 904 pages of that knowing in one book. Water, fire, curing, canning, the plants that heal and the ones that kill. silasmercer.shop. Links below. All right, back to it. Near everything I'm about to walk you through, my grandfather Eli copied into a leather journal the same coop skills that kept his hens laying through the Depression on a mountain that gets colder than most folks reckon. He made me swear the old ways wouldn't die with me. This is me keeping that word. Some of what's coming, the heat lamp companies would rather stayed buried on a Dakota homestead. Number 4 is a wall that heats itself for 6 months on materials a farmer used to throw away, and the bulb industry hopes you never lay hands on it. Number 7 nearly burned a Vermont family's barn to the ground in 1978 because they did it wrong. Done right, it kept every old coop on this ridge warm for 100 years. And number 2, you will not find in a single hatchery catalog under winter breeds anymore. There's a reason for that. None of these tricks faded because they quit working. They faded because somebody sells you a bulb, a bag of feed, and a monthly bill for what your great-grandfather did with straw and hens. That is not on you. Before we count down, tap subscribe. Not for me, because we are pulling coop knowledge back onto the homestead. The utility company would rather you never relearned. Let's count down from 15. 15 forgotten frontier tricks for heating a chicken coop with no electricity. The question stopped being how did they do it a long time ago. The question is who is getting paid because we forgot, and how do you take it back and owe them nothing this winter? Number 15, sight the coop against a south-facing windbreak. Before you build a wall, you pick a spot. Your great-grandfather set his coop on the south lee of the barn, or the smokehouse, or a stand of cedar he never cut. So the north wind broke on something else, and the south sun hit the coop wall from 10 till 2 every clear day. That single decision kills your first bill. A coop dropped in an open yard bleeds heat on all 4 sides. A coop tucked south of a windbreak holds 5 to 10 degrees warmer on a still winter night with no input from you. They stopped teaching sighting the day the County Extension Service started selling insulated prefab coop kits after the war. A kit sells. A cedar row does not. Cornell's cold climate poultry work still lists windbreak sighting as the single highest return step before you spend a dime. Pick your spot, then build. That one they only quit teaching. The next one they replaced with a plug-in fixture. Number 14, the deep south glass wall or sun catcher panel. 14 is a south wall built with more glass than wood. On a homestead in Nebraska in 1902, a man named Perry Osborne fitted the whole south face of his coop with cast-off greenhouse sash he bought for $1 the pane. The morning sun hit that glass, warmed the interior 20 degrees above outside air by noon, and the birds banked the heat in the litter and the walls till after midnight. They call it passive solar now, and a land-grant university writes papers on it. Your great-grandmother called it a south window. The heat lamp industry did not outlaw a south window. They just sold a bulb that let you build the coop facing whichever way was cheapest and eat the electric bill forever. You want a sun catcher? Reclaim storm windows off a scrap pile, sealed against draft, south-facing, angled slightly to catch low winter sun. Free heat every clear day. No wire. A window cost you once. The next one cost you nothing at all. Number 13, the thermal mass water barrel. 13 is a black painted water barrel or a stack of dark stone set on the coop's north interior wall. The sun that comes through your south window hits that mass all day. The mass heats up slow, and it releases that heat back into the coop all night while your hens are on the roost. 50 gallons of water banks more heat than a heat lamp puts out in 8 hours. And the mass never fails, never sparks, never trips a breaker, never sets a coop on fire. The old-timers used rain barrels because they had them. A stack of fieldstone works the same. A concrete block bench works the same. They stopped writing this into farm bulletins somewhere around 1958, right about the time rural electrification hit 90% and the extension service quit pretending you didn't have an outlet. Paint the barrel dark. A clean galvanized barrel reflects the light back out the window. That's borrowed heat. The next one, the birds make themselves. Number 12, body heat and tight flock sizing. 12 is the trick that costs you literally nothing and works the day you learn it. A single laying hen puts out roughly 10 watts of body heat, steady, 24 hours a day. A dozen hens in a right-sized coop put out the equivalent of a small space heater running full-time on the utility company's dime. Frontier coops were sized tight on purpose, 3 to 4 square feet per bird inside, not the 8 to 10 a modern kit builder sells you. Tight coop, full roost, low ceiling, and the flock heats the box. Rural electrification hit farms hard starting in 1936, and by 1953, something like 90% of American farms were on the grid. The pitch that came with the wire was that modern meant plug in everything. The county agent stopped explaining how a flock heats itself the same year he started selling you the fixture to do it for him. You plugged the lamp in, so did every farmer the extension service ever talked to. That is not your fault, friend. Tight coop, warm birds. Next comes the ceiling. First pattern break. Here is where it stops being quaint and starts being the reason the utility company has your bank draft on auto pay. Everything from here down, somebody figured out how to sell you a plug-in replacement for. Watch the villain change shape. Number 11, low ceiling and roost level draft control. 11 is a coop ceiling low enough that a grown man ducks going in. Your great-grandfather did not build a cathedral for his chickens. He built a box just tall enough to gather eggs standing bent. Because every cubic foot of air above the roost is a cubic foot of air the flock has to heat for nothing. Above the roost bar, the old coops had one small vent up high in the peak on the leeward side to let out moisture and ammonia. Below the roost, dead calm, no draft on the birds, ever. The University of Minnesota Extension will tell you flat out that chickens tolerate temperatures well below zero in a dry, draft-free coop with no supplemental heat, and that a damp coop kills faster than a cold one. The old-timers knew this by feel. The extension bulletins after 1955 quietly stopped emphasizing it because the prefab kit they were pushing had a heat fixture in the plans and a bigger interior to sell you. Low ceiling, high vent, dead calm roost, no wire. That handles the ceiling. Next one handles the floor. Number 10, bedding choice. Leaves, corn husks, pine shavings, straw. 10 is what your great-grandmother put on the floor. Deep, dry, carbon-heavy bedding. Dried leaves raked in the fall. Corn husks off the crib. Pine shavings, wheat straw, whatever the farm made in surplus. The bedding does 3 jobs at once. It insulates the floor from frozen ground. It absorbs droppings, and when we get to number 6, it starts composting under the hens and throws warmth up through their feet. The bagged feed and bagged shavings people would love to sell you a plastic-lined coop with a scrapable pan and a monthly bag of pine pellets. That is a system with a bill on it. Your grandfather's system had leaves in it, and the leaves fell for free every October. Damp bedding is the enemy. Dry going in, kept dry, turned regular. 10 put the material on the floor. 9 tells you what to do with it. Number 9, the manure and straw bank along the north wall. 9 is a trick the Dakota homesteader lived by. Along the coop's coldest wall, the north side, the one the wind hits, you bank 2 to 3 feet of clean straw mixed with the winter's coop scrapings, packed tight against the outside wall. That bank does 2 things. It insulates the north wall from wind chill better than any fiberglass batting the farm co-op ever sold. And where the manure meets the straw and starts to slowly compost, it throws off gentle heat right against the coop skin all winter long. Eli wrote this one down in the winter of 1939. Said he learned it from a Norwegian neighbor whose grandfather did it in the old country before he ever crossed water. I will be straight with you. First coop I put in alone back in 1989, I skipped this step because I thought it looked ugly. Froze the water solid 3 nights running. Eli walked out, looked at the north wall, and didn't say a word. Just started forking straw. I have banked every coop since. That is the outside wall. 8 is the inside surface. Number 8. Dark painted interior surfaces and reflective north wall. 8 is a coat of paint. The old coops had a dark interior on the south-facing wall to absorb the sun that came through the window, and a light or reflective surface on the north interior wall to bounce that heat back toward the birds instead of losing it into the wood. Coop pigment cost pocket change. Whitewash was free on a homestead that kept lime. Dark stain came off a rag and a pine tar bucket. The heat lamp industry did the math on a can of paint versus a 250-watt bulb running 24 hours for 150 nights, and the bulb wins their ledger every time. A bulb has a bill. Paint does not. A 250-watt heat lamp running full winter is real money you write to the utility every month for 5 months. Painted walls are money you spend once or never. Paint is the surface. 7 is what you put inside the walls. Second pattern break, halfway down. This is where the old ways stop being cute and start being the reason your grandfather's flock outlaid your neighbor's plug-in coop 3 winters running. From here down, the tricks get older, quieter, and worth the most. Number 4 is still coming. So is number 2. Number 7, straw bale walls or straw bale insulation. 7 is the payoff on the second forward teaser. Straw bales, stacked 2 deep against the coop's north and west exterior walls, or built as the walls themselves in a bale and post coop, insulate to an R value most fiberglass batting cannot touch. Cost you the price of hay store scrap bales, and last 2 to 3 winters before you compost them into the garden and stack fresh. I told you at the top that a Vermont family nearly lost a barn to this one in 1978. Here is the honest note. They stacked their bales tight to the coop's interior heat lamp. The lamp shorted, the bales caught, and the whole coop went up in under 20 minutes. That is not a straw problem. That is a heat lamp problem meeting a straw solution, and the lamp winning. Straw bales alone on the outside with no ignition source are as safe as a pile of hay in a field. The heat lamp is the number 1 documented cause of coop fires in this country year after year, decade after decade. Fire marshals across the northern states have said it for 50 years. Kill the lamp. Keep the bales. The bales were never the danger. 6 is what happens when the floor starts working with you. Number 6, the deep litter method. 6 is the single most powerful trick in this entire count for a coop that heats itself with 0 input from you. Deep litter. You start in the fall with 4 inches of dry carbon bedding on the coop floor. Every week or 2 you toss a handful of scratch grain across it, and the hens turn it for you looking for the corn. Every month you add another 2 inches of fresh bedding on top. You never scrape the floor, not once, all winter. Under the surface, the bedding starts to slowly compost. Gentle, aerobic, dry-managed decomposition throws warmth up to the floor. By January, the bottom layer is measurably warmer than the outside ground. The birds stand on it. The coop's coldest surface becomes the coop's warmest. Eli wrote this one down in the winter of 1947. Cornell and Penn State poultry programs have both documented the composting bedding effect and the ammonia and moisture management it demands. That is the safety line, friend. Keep it dry. Turn it if it mats. If it stinks of ammonia when you walk in, you have added too fast or gotten it wet, and you back it off. That is the one part you don't skip. Done right, deep litter is the closest thing to free winter coop heat you will ever build. 6, work the floor from underneath. 5, works the roost from above. Number 5, wide flat roost bars for foot coverage. 5 is a 2x4 turned flat side up. Round dowel roosts, the kind every hardware store coop kit comes with, force a hen to curl her toes around a bar all night, and her exposed feet freeze first in a hard winter. A wide flat roost lets her squat on her feet, cover her toes with her feather skirt, and warm them against her own belly through the coldest hours. Frost-bitten feet lose you birds and lose you eggs. It is the number 1 cold weather injury on a homestead flock, and it is caused entirely by a roost bar somebody sold you shaped wrong. The extension bulletins after 1955 defaulted to dowel because it looked tidy in a drawing. The Frontier coop used to scrap 2x4 flat because Grandpa didn't have time to lose a hen to a bar. That is the roost. 4 is the wall behind it, number 4. The composting wall or hotbed style outside heat bank. 4 is the payoff on the first forward teaser. This is the wall that heats itself for 6 months on materials a farmer used to throw away. Along the coop's north exterior wall, you build a cribbed frame roughly 3 feet deep and the length of the wall. In autumn, you pack it full. fresh horse or cow manure at the bottom, then straw, then dried leaves, then fall garden waste, then a top cap of straw. You wet it once to start it, then you close it and walk away. Underneath the surface, that pile enters slow, hot composting all winter. The pile stays somewhere between 60 and 90 degrees for 4 to 6 months, pressed right against the coop wall, giving up its warmth into the coop skin day and night. Come spring, you fork out the finished compost, put it on the garden, and rebuild the crib for next fall. The bulb industry hopes you never lay hands on this one, because it does exactly what a heat lamp does, only slower, gentler, safer, without a wire, without a bill, and it gives you a wheelbarrow of black gold in April on top. Eli wrote this one down in the fall of 1955, along with a sketch of the crib. It is real. It works. It cost you the manure your barn already made. 4 is the wall. 3 is the door. Third pattern break. 3 items to go. If the heat lamp is the fire that eats your barn, and the utility bill is the leak that eats your paycheck, then everything below this line is the reason your great-grandfather's coop on his ridge, on his dirt, kept his family in eggs through winters that shut this whole country down. Number 3, double door airlock entry. Keep the heat when you gather eggs. 3 is a second door. The old northern coops had a small vestibule, a mudroom for chickens, an outer door, a 2-foot gap, then an inner door into the coop proper. Every trip you make to gather eggs or throw scratch, you open one door at a time. The coop's warm interior never opens straight to the winter yard. The industry sold you a single hardware store door because a single door is cheaper to ship in a kit. Every time you open it in January, you dump the warmth your birds spent all night making straight into the sky. The rural electrification pitch after 1936 sold you a bulb to replace the heat you keep losing through a bad door. The airlock stops the loss at the source and needs no wire. Every open door dump is heat you paid the utility to replace. Cut the dump, cut the bill. That is the door. 2 is the bird herself. Number 2. The cold hardy heritage breed the catalogs quit listing. 2 is the payoff on the third teaser. Walk any modern hatchery catalog and you will find a winter layer section that mostly lists production hybrids bred for a heated commercial house. Walk a livestock conservancy heritage list and you find birds bred for actual winter. The Chanticleer out of Quebec developed in the 1910s specifically to lay through Canadian winters on an unheated farm. The Buckeye out of Ohio, small comb, tight feather. The Dominique, America's oldest breed, cold hardy since colonial times. The Wyandotte, rose comb, heavy body, feathered right for a mountain winter. Small combs and rose combs do not frostbite the way a big leghorn comb does. Heavy body mass holds heat overnight the way a Cornish cross cannot. Dual-purpose feather cover insulates through a January that would kill a production hybrid in a week. Eli wrote this one down in the winter of 1952, and he kept a mixed flock of Dominiques and Wyandottes his whole life. The hatchery industry did not outlaw a Chanticleer. They just quit stocking it. Because a hybrid that only lays hard for 2 seasons and dies is a customer you get to sell again. A heritage hen that lays 8 years is a customer you lose. The Livestock Conservancy still lists most of these breeds as threatened or watched. That is what a hen that didn't need them looks like on a ledger. All 14 tricks above serve one truth. That truth is number 1. Number 1. The coop that owes the power company nothing. Number 1 is not another trick. Number 1 is the thing every trick above it was pointing at. A coop that owes the power company nothing. Site it south of a windbreak. Build it tight and low. Glass the south wall. Bank the north wall in straw and compost. Deep litter the floor. Roost them wide. Vestibule the door. Fill it with a heritage flock bred for the winter it is actually going to stand in. And when the ice storm knocks the power out on the whole county for 11 days in January, the way one did on this ridge in 2009, your neighbor's plug-in coop goes cold in 6 hours, and yours doesn't move a degree. August Kellerman on the Dakota Plains in 1887 wasn't tougher than you, friend. He was fed, warm-flocked, and beholden to no store. 38 below the barn door. 7 eggs a day out of 22 birds on a coop floor his bare hand could rest on. He never wrote a check for what his straw and his hens were doing for free. There was no check to write. Nobody had sold him the bill yet. The utility company sold your grandfather the bill somewhere between 1936 and 1953. The heat lamp people sold it to your father. Nobody's forcing you to keep paying it. The coop your great-grandfather built still works. The knowledge is right here. I am not selling you fear, and I am not telling you the grid is going down next Tuesday. Your winter electric bill for a couple heat lamps and a coop light over 10 hard winters adds up to real money. Call it a few $100s a season, and you can see how it stacks. That is the bill this ends. Nothing more, nothing less. You are not going to build 15 things this weekend. So pick one. Just one. If your coop faces north, drag it south of the barn or plant a windbreak this spring. If your floor is scraped concrete, dump 6 inches of dry leaves on it tomorrow and don't touch it till March. If you're running a heat lamp, unplug it, bank the north wall in straw before the next cold snap, and watch your hens do what they were built to do. I ran an unheated coop through 9 winters on this ridge, the way Eli kept his, straw banked and deep littered and low ceilinged with a rose comb flock. Never plugged a thing in. Never lost a bird to cold. Coldest morning I remember was 19 below, and there were 4 warm eggs in the box by noon. Tell me down below, did your grandparents keep a flock through a real winter with no wire to the coop? What did they do that nobody does anymore? The one that pulls the most stories from you is the one I build next. Your granddad kept a flock through winters colder than this, and nobody plugged anything in. Somebody just didn't get the chance to pass that down to you. Now you're one of the keepers. Don't let it die here. Next time, I'm walking you down the frontier waterer. The one that never froze in a January coop on no wire, on a trick with a stone and a lidded pail that the plug-in heated base people spent 50 years hoping you'd never see again. There is a reason the electric base water is a $50 item on every farm store shelf now. And there's a reason your great-grandmother laughed at the idea of paying for one. If you want the next one, subscribe. Not for me, friend, because we are pulling a whole homestead's worth of knowing back out of the ground, one old trick at a time, and there is a coop and a flock at the end of it that owes nobody a dime. Keep the old ways. They kept us.